Sonic Truth is live. I'm Alan Seslowsky of RotoWire.com along with Theo, Gremminger, and the Podfather. This is part of the Player Profiler network of shows, which, guys, it seems like there's a new high-quality podcast being added to the feed every day. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's like literally like my television now at this point. I go to the feed, I turn on the Player Profiler podcast feed, and there's always a new show in there, a new episode. It's almost you guys have become like the Netflix during COVID, where there was just like a floodgate of new shows.
That's right. Yeah, we added the Dynasty Warzone a couple months ago to the YouTube channel, and now it's on our main feed because let's be honest, Memphis Young is killing it. That show is incredible. The popularity of it. I wasn't ready to see all these downloads of the show independent of our network, and then seeing the show's success on YouTube, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. And we have a new show that we've bringing to the table, Best Bell Fantasy, and I'm going to have Bradley Stalder.
Yep.
Bradley Stalder coming on the Mind of Mansion show this week, tomorrow. To look for Bradley in the afternoon. We're going to have him on in the afternoon, so and talk a little bit more about his show focused on best ball. That's right. There's something for everyone. Seasonal leagues, FFPC, high stakes, Dynasty, best ball, everything.
Yeah,
literally everything.
Couple really good episodes this week. I mean, they're again, I'm a fan of the feed, but Theo having Nelson and with Billy on that show, that was really good. As I'm entering some of my high stakes stuff coming up, and also the podcast with Anand that you did there, some really good actionable takeaway. Again, appointment viewing for me, guys. But today on the Sonic Truth, we are going to do a Dynasty startup draft. It is Dynasty startup season. It seems like I'm getting asked to be in a new one every single day, and I can't say no. So please stop asking, because I have a problem. It's like putting a little white bag of powder in front of a crackhead. You know, that's me. I need to snort my Dynasty startups.
Well, hold on, Alan. I think first of all that's wrong. I think the whole point of crack is it's not powder; it's a rock. Okay, so crack's crack rock.
It was heroin, okay. Alan. It's
right.
It's heroin.
And then the powder is just straight cocaine.
Yep.
So already, Alan, and by the way, I guess on YouTube we have to now flag this show as having some drug paraphernalia discussion. I think that's a category in YouTube. There's the light profanity, so I think we're going to go light profanity. We're going to go some drug use, some light drug use, and light profanity. Already, we are 3 minutes in.
Demonetized.
Not necessarily. Right.
Right.
I think if we properly configure the show, we've got Tyler Football, our producer, our trusty producer, Tyler Football. He's going to be in the chat today. He helps us set up the show on YouTube so it doesn't get demonetized. He's the man. He also helps us clip these shows. We can put the highlights up, and maybe he was responsible for mischaracterizing my position on James Conner. But that's water under the bridge. We're not going to talk about that again, are we, Alan?
Heck no, not today. Not today. Maybe
we won't talk about that again.
We might have to put one more final note, final fine point on that one. But today, Theo, what I want to do is I want to run a Dynasty startup where we're the three managers picking for four separate teams each. Okay, so we're going to do
Jesus
single.
Christ.
Single.
Really? I'm running 4 teams.
You're running 4 teams.
Do I have to name all 4 teams?
Alan, should it be in the spirit of Matt's we're doing a three-man startup, or is Matt have to pretend to be 3 other people?
3 other people, because 3-man teams helps nobody. We want this to be
all right.
Okay.
If you're going, so people don't have a lot of.
I got it. So team 1 is just me. Just normal Podfather. Team 2 will be cool Podfather, right? So team 2.
Well, I'm gonna be. We have this all mapped out. I'm team.
No,
1.
my team. Whoever my second team is.
Your team 2, and your second team is team 5.
Okay, this is team 5 is cool guy team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
why don't we just
8.
go down the list? This is very confusing.
Okay,
we don't have anything up on the screen. We're just gonna be doing this freelance.
I have a Google sheet going.
You have a Google sheet that you're not going to share with the audience, so only you will know what's going on.
Well, I'm going to regurgitate it and update people, right, Theo?
We will tweet it out after the show, guys, and you know all of our listeners on the podcast forum are going to appreciate it, Matt.
Trust the
They're gonna have to
process
imagine
here.
it.
I will make sure all of you have hospital corners on the bed. It's tucked in tight. It's looking like military grade neat.
Just
I
go
promise you.
through the list of teams and who has what teams.
Okay, I'm going to be picking first, and again, the point of this conversation is more.
Oh yeah, you're running and then you're also picking first.
Yes, I'm picking first.
Okay, who's picking two? Who's picking two?
Picking two is the Podfather.
Thank God. All right.
Picking,
so this is just me. Normal me, no sunglasses, no glasses.
Yeah. Matt Kelly's picking fifth, just so you know. The Podfather's
who's picking third? Who's picking third?
Third
Theo?
is Theo.
Okay.
That's me.
Fourth is Allen.
Fourth is Allen.
Fourth is Allen. So we're not snake. We're not going to some weird snake thing. It's not like Theo and then me and then Allen. It's not that, right?
Yeah, and in fact, yes, and then you're the next pick after that, and then when we get to 12,
I'm pick
we'll
five.
back.
So this, just so everyone can get it clear, the sunglasses guy, that's pick 5. That's cool. This is I got to be cool with pick 5. Okay, who's pick 6?
Well, it keeps rotating, and then it'll be Theo.
Okay, so I'm guessing pick 6 is Theo, and then I'm guessing pick 7's back to you. It doesn't snake again, right?
Correct.
So pick 7's Allen. Now who's pick 8?
Pick 8 in this format is Podfather.
This is I gotta go full nerd on you guys. I'm gonna go glasses. I'm going black rim glasses on this one. So okay, this is me. This is me for pick 8. Okay, and then pick 9 is Theo again. Theo screwed every single sub round. These are called, I guess, sub rounds. We'll call them sub rounds. And then Allen, of course, gets the 10th pick. Okay, and then here's for my 11th pick. This guy is in trouble because this is not Superflex. If it was Superflex, 11th pick's great. Superflex single quarterback, it's a bit of a stretch there to call the players at the very end first rounders. But so I'm gonna have to deal with them this way. So this guy, this guy, just a jerk. Right. So my jerk glasses will be worn for pick 11.
You got to get like Post-it notes for the glasses, Matt, so this stays.
I'm trying to keep them straight. I'm trying to keep them all straight here in front of me.
And we're gonna do a mock startup with guests at some point this summer. So this is a nice dry run for us. So instead of guests today, it's multiverse of Matt Kelly, multiverse of me, and multiverse of Allen. It's just we're drafting for 4 teams, guys. We're getting after it.
Yeah. This is gonna be so complicated and terrible.
No, this is. I'm telling you, I trust the driver. People say that when I drive them around all the time, they're like, I don't know. You look like you drive like an old Jewish man from Miami, But I'm telling you, I drive like a New York City cab driver. I'm telling you, it might be a little rough, but I'm going to get us there, and you're going to be there efficiently. I promise you.
You're hardened by the streets of Long Island, Alan. You brought it with you to Florida. They're not messing with you. Not messing with you.
I'm hardened by the streets of Long Island and lunch ladies. Yes, correct. Yeah. All right.
So, Alan, does that mean you're OTC?
I'm OTC.
OTC, Alan. OTC.
Tag me.
OTC.
Tag me. Yep. But you know who else does really great Dynasty single quarterback drafts? It's the FFPC guys. So we're going to start our draft right after this word from our sponsors at the FFPC.
People always ask me, hey, what is the World Series of fantasy or the Super Bowl of fantasy football? And it's easy. It's the FFPC, the Fantasy Football Players Championship. It's a $6 million prize pool. And they've had their Never Too Early Best Ball leagues cranking since February. And so the FFPC is the answer to so many questions. Hey, where's the best place to get a Dynasty Orphan? Well, you can adopt a Dynasty Orphan at the FFPC. That's why we partner with them. If you want to play fantasy football for low, medium, high stakes, seasonal, best ball, dynasty, go to the FFPC. And don't forget, promo code Underworld to get you $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team, no matter what team it is, no matter what format it is, at the FFPC. Go do it.
Go do it. I'm Alan Seslowsky of RotoWire.com, along with Theo Gremminger, the Podfather. This is the Sonic Truth Podcast, and we are about to momentarily start our Dynasty mock startup because you guys need to know who to pick and why to pick them. But you said something in the beginning of the podcast. In the beginning of the podcast, Podfather, you brought up James Conner, and I think You had
Again.
after your retort, you did have a faction of people coming in saying, "Okay, I kind of get the joke. There is some humor there."
Right. Well, the bottom line is everything is in bounds for jokes. You're allowed to joke everything. Everything. Nothing is out of bounds. And, a few years ago, I think there were topics that were out of bounds. We had this weird time where there was a year or two where there were a whole set of topics that were out of bounds for humor and jokes and comedy, and now comedy won. Like, there was a war, right? And comedy won. And I'm very happy comedy won. And I mentioned that I was, happy that my quote that was my misquote actually sounded like an Anthony Jeselnik joke. So I was happy to be misquoted to sound like Anthony Jeselnik. But actually, as it turns out, the audience wrote me, right? Podfather at RotoUnderworld. You can email me anything you want, any thoughts you have. Podfather at RotoUnderworld.com. They said, no, actually, I know you think it's Jeselnik. It's not. It's Daniel Tosh. Daniel Tosh, underrated. Daniel Tosh does not look like someone who says the edgiest stuff in America. And he actually had the final word on cancer jokes.
There's nothing funny about cancer. All right. If you haven't been affected in some way or another by cancer at this point of your life and haven't developed a sense of humor about it, you're the crazy person.
Bam! That's the argument ender. Everything is in bounds. Everything is in bounds. In bounds, right? In bounds. The NFL, in bounds. Football, in bounds. And one of the jokes that was written by Norm Macdonald on the Norm Macdonald live show talked about something that is as out of bounds as it gets, sexual assault, and somehow also made it about sports. So this was something to note, and I think Alan might have some thoughts on this particular joke. This is from episode 2 of the Norm Macdonald live show.
This one, it's former Tennessee Titans cheerleader Elizabeth Lee Garner, 42, is accused of pulling a 12-year-old boy's pants off and offering him oral sex. The boy refused her advances not because he was 12, but because he was a die-hard Colts fan.
Alan?
I mean, Colts fan. You sure he wasn't gay? I mean, how do you? You don't not have sex with your teacher because if you're a boy student and the female teacher who's an ex-cheerleader because you're a Colts fan. To me, maybe he just wasn't interested in women.
Fandom, Alan. Never underestimate fandom, man.
No.
Some households, they're really installing that,
You were 13 years old once, Theo. You remember,
listen,
there was a time where I couldn't live without the Islanders, the Jets, but the above all, there was one other thing that trumped all of that.
The bottom line is that in order to make a joke about sexual assault, Norm Macdonald went into sports. He said, sports fans are so crazy, we actually might be able to construct a joke around how crazy sports fans are, and it actually works. That's what's interesting about that joke. Above all, and the fact this is a sports show, and this is on topic, and also mentioned both the Colts and the Titans. It was just so perfect. That's just how crazy sports fans are. And I went ahead and looked up whether or not this ever happened, because a lot of times Norm Macdonald will write these jokes for the show. And remember, the Weekend Update. So it's basically a play on the Weekend Update segment he used to do for Saturday Night Live. And whether it's Adam Egett or Norm Macdonald reading it, that was actually Adam Egett reading that joke. Whether it's either one, if you read it like a broadcaster and you don't break character, that's part of the delivery of it. And so much so that even though you know it's a joke, you assume it actually happened. They're reading it in a way that you assume that's a real thing that happened. A lot of these things they've no basis in reality. So I Googled it because remember we had this problem. Remember the woman that defecated on the desk of her boss after she won the lottery. We found out the whole thing was made up, had not an ounce of truth in it. And
I still fantasize about it, though, by the way. I still fantasize. So
Right. My wife mocked me for being gullible, so I'm like, I'm not going to be gullible here. I bet none of that ever happened. I bet it was a total fabrication, just a premise for a joke, how crazy sports fans are. Actually, no. It did happen, and her defense in court was that she was so wasted that she thought that the kid was someone else. And shame on the parents for bringing a kid to any establishment where there's lewd, lascivious behavior going on and hammered people in the bathroom. You don't just have a kid go into a bathroom, whether it's a restaurant, bar, whatever it is, if that's what's going on. That's also on the parents. So, yes, it was her fault, right? She was the one that went to jail. But oftentimes in a situation, there's not just one person to blame. There's one person that takes the majority of the blame, the ex-cheerleader, but also the parents for having their child in that kind of situation in the first place. It's irresponsible. Shame on them.
Talking about lewd acts in a bathroom, I was just thinking about Cody the other day, guys. Trying to connect those two.
Cody Carpentier?
Yeah, Cody. I want to say, it's like, I understand Cody had to move on, but I miss seeing him on the network. I still keep in touch with Cody though. But who do you guys have that's going to take up some of those duties, some of the other responsibilities around while he's gone? I was just curious. A lot of your audience asked me about it. That's why I'm asking you live on the air.
Big shout out to Cody. Cody did, so much for us. He's a friend of mine, friends of Matt's, friend of yourself, Alan. The work he put in, on the way, towards the end of his time with us, with the NFL draft was just amazing, and the rookie work as well. So, but we are growing, Alan. We're growing at Player Profiler. Matt's done a great job of bringing in a few new people on the social media side. Matt, maybe you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I thought you were going to say that you're now directing the content. This was teed up for you. The top of the pyramid here is now Theo.
He's a little
is the one that's going to be directing the content, going to be talking about what articles we need to be writing in our meetings. He's going to be helping to plan what videos we're releasing on YouTube. So this is going to elevate Theo ultimately into a place where I think he's perfectly suited. No one can replace Cody. Cody is in our DNA. Cody is a founding member of this organization. When you look back in the annals, right, of the old leather-bound books about Player Profiler, Cody's going to be right there. He's going to be a featured founding member, and we're not the same without him. In fact, I just had a meeting with Billy where we were surfacing some gaps in our organization because we don't have Cody anymore, who is a real glue guy. However, Theo is up to the task, and I think Theo's going to do a phenomenal job directing the content. And we also have Seth Dywald, who's going to be managing the YouTube channel, managing all the articles that are posted. He's currently getting up to speed on a lot of things, and he's doing a great job. So I think primarily it's going to be Theo and Seth picking up where Cody left off. Also, John Adams. So John
not
Adams
the presidents. Not the
he's
president.
one of the presidents, but he's not necessarily a show host. Like, he's not on the network necessarily as a host of a podcast, but he does a lot behind the scenes. In fact, he was our NFL draft MVP. He was the one updating all the player pages in real time during the draft, during the combine. He's one of those unsung heroes at Player Profiler. He is now going to have a bigger role because Cody was very involved in the data and the day-to-day management of the data. So we have a bunch of people that are going to get together. It's kind of like Moneyball. We're not going to replace Giambi with one guy. We're going to replace Giambi in the aggregate, right? So Cody is very much like a Jason Giambi, and we're going to have to replace him in the aggregate, and we're not going to be able to fully replace him, but we're going to do our best to replace him with 3 or 4 specialists in aggregate. And so that's what we're doing. We do need more video producers and more show producers. So we've got Tyler Football in the chat.
Explain what that means. Explain what that means, because you hear that word, some people get intimidated. You might actually have the skill to do that. Name the top 3 things that role would actually do.
Right. So a YouTube show producer, in this case, Tyler Football, he is going to be watching the show. He's going to be in the chat, holding us accountable, giving us ideas. I've already shared one of his ideas already from the chat, like, hey, you should talk about this or what about that? And then we post it up there. So he's in there hyping the show in the chat, but also marking the timestamps of the different topics we're talking about to help organize the show for YouTube and set playlists and tags and all those things you're doing behind the scenes with YouTube. It doesn't take any technical experience whatsoever. Anyone can do it. All you need to be is a fan of the show. If you enjoy the show and you want to make money watching the show and taking some notes on the side while you're watching it, reach out to me, podfather@rotounderworld.com, and we can set you up as a show producer, because we're adding so many shows all the time that the shows are outpacing the number of producers that we have. So we need that. And then we also need people that are skilled at cutting up these shows and identifying 2 or 3 highlight clips and getting those highlight clips posted to Twitter and posted to YouTube. So it's really what I would say is a show producer, a stream producer, as well as a clip artist. Those would be the 2 roles that we really need to fill, and it's the perfect entry point into an organization. If you love what we're all about, if you've always thought, hey, it would be cool to be part of this team in some way, that's the way to do it.
So you don't need to be you don't need to know Premiere Pro. You could do this in iMovie and cut this stuff up.
You could, but here's the thing. Learning Premiere Pro is not that big of a deal. We have a whole bunch of people here that know Premiere Pro, that know Final Cut, and we have licenses to those software packages, and we show people how to use them. So if you want to step up your game as a video editor, for example, maybe you have your own YouTube channel, but you also want to help us on the side, that's exactly the type of people, the type of talent that we're looking for, and it's the smoothest, easiest path to become part of our organization.
Yeah, and it's a really exciting time for us. So it's a really, really great time to join. We have a ton planned on the content end. I think we're gonna take the website end to new heights this summer. We're doing some really exciting things with our videos. Where, like Matt referenced, we're adding a ton of really, really high quality podcasts. It's going to be just a tremendous summer for us. And it's a great group of people to work for. So definitely shout out to Matt if you are interested.
And we just launched a new feature for the Dynasty Deluxe, Win Now versus Rebuild. So there's a new strategy field that you can set on the Dynasty rankings. And so you can say Win Now, you can say Rebuild, you can say Neutral, depending on your strategy. So we now have rankings and trade analyzer and all those tools in Dynasty Deluxe to align with your strategy. And soon we'll be rolling out a news desk. So we will be a source of fantasy news. So we're throwing our hat into that ring. I know there's already a whole bunch of fantasy news providers out there. We are going to be another one, but we are going to have our own spin on things. We're going to have our own approach to things. It's going to be a little bit more cheeky, a little bit more shenanigans with our news. It's not going to be quite as serious because this is, fantasy football. It's the least serious thing in society, so we're going to take it serious when it needs to be serious, and we're going to be playful when it calls for playfulness.
There is a market for satirical news, by the way. Not complete satire, just true stuff, but playful. I think there is a market for that because anytime I see someone make an attempt at that, even if the joke misses, I'm always reading their stuff. So hit it on the news. And by the way, you guys should change those tabs to Win Now and Win Never, not Rebuild, if you know what I'm saying.
And by the way, just to, we're offering our respect to Cody. We also should offer our respect to Alan. The original fantasy news source was RotoWire. RotoWire is the OG. We will never be RotoWire, but we can at least have something to aspire to. And it's something that our users have asked for. They said, hey, you guys are posting all this stuff on Twitter. why don't you post it on your website? And we were like, we don't have a good place to put it on the website. So basically, we've created a place that we can put the news and analysis that we're already posting on social media on the website. And it is RotoWire that really has been leading the way the last decade more in this space, in that particular area. I highly recommend checking out Alan and all of his work at RotoWire. It's the reason why he's on the show, is the great work he does at RotoWire. And, if one day, we can have some analysis of the news that is even remotely close to RotoWire, I'll be very happy.
Yep. We appreciate the shout out, but like I said, and the feeling is mutual. All right. So Seth, remember to mark that 25 minutes in, we start our Dynasty startup. All right. So when you do all the markings there, so people could skip right to the startup.
It's Tyler
or watch
football.
Oh, I thought you said it was Seth was doing.
Tyler
No,
football.
Seth is handling the YouTube end. Tyler's our producer. Yep.
Well, yeah. So,
Tyler
so
football.
Seth is basically the overseer, the overlord of all the YouTube shows, but the guy that's actually in the trenches, that is the show producer, that's Tyler Football.
Tyler Football, mark this moment.
Tyler Knievel, I think it's Tyler Knievel in the chat. Yeah. If you see him in the chat, it's Tyler Knievel, but his nickname here is Tyler Football.
And a shout out to Tyler, who's also helped me out with the world famous draft kit as well, Matt. Tyler stepped in, did some very quality writing. So shout out to you, Tyler. You got a couple more, which I think maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, but they're on the way as well from Tyler.
Draft kits dropping in less than a week. So we got a lot going on here. But first and foremost, Alan, I believe we're doing a mock draft on this show.
Well, the show's over now, so we can come back next week. See you. See you next week.
We'll get through picks 1, 2. We'll get through picks 1, 2, 3. This will be a three player mock draft.
All we did was do shout outs and promotion under the banner of STP. So, all right, guys, this is how it's going to work. Everyone right now that I know is in a Dynasty startup draft, and you might think that we're going to do a single quarterback, single PPR for tight end, so there's no special premium, because that's, again, what most people are in right now. So let's show people how we put together a strategy. Let's try to get it through at least 2 rounds, maybe 3 if we could do it. No third round reversal. So I'm going to take the first pick. And this is actually, it's a tough decision, because do you want to build your draft through a running back or through a wide receiver? There's arguments on both sides, stronger on the wide receiver side, but I'm going to take Bijan Robinson, and I'll tell you why. It's that he's not the typical running back. Dynasty is best played in 1 to 2 year windows, but with a rookie contract and a top 10 pick, we could talk about Bijan, I believe, in a 4 to 6 year window when we talk about franchise tags. I like the wide receivers that are going to come back to me. I do not like the running backs that are come back to me. This is not what the consensus would be. Most people would take a wide receiver here, but I'm going to take Bijan Robinson, just like I took Saquon Barkley instead of Odell Beckham the year Barkley was a rookie.
Before Matt responds, I will say I think this is fine, Alan. I think Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson would be my top 2. Not to have table talk here.
Hey,
but
I'm picking.
But Bijan Robinson is my clear 3. And I think at the end of the day, we have a lack of true RB1s, 3 down running backs in the NFL who are capable of 20-point per game seasons. And I think Bijan Robinson is going to have multiple 20-point per game seasons. I think this year he's going to put up a top 5 running back season out the gate. And he's just the kind of guy that could potentially break fantasy at some point in his career. We talk about like the Christian McCaffrey year. We talk about Christian McCaffrey year, Matt. We talk about these massive seasons.
Listen to you two.
He's the chosen one, and Alan took him number 1.
Listen to you guys. Do you guys even hear yourself talking? You guys have. This is so peak June Dynasty, where it's just been an avalanche of rookie hype. We haven't seen these guys do anything yet. No serious training camp, no preseason. It's just been projecting and speculating and hyping and hyping. You get this giant rock hard boner for these rookies. And of course, Bijan Robinson is peak all of those things.
All right, on the clock.
Whoa. I was running the boner sound effect. Jesus Christ, Alan. The bottom line is that you're crazy. Okay? You're crazy. This guy has not played a snap yet. I hate to be that guy. I was this guy on the Dominator show. I've been this guy recently. I've had this sort of existential crisis that I've realized that I'm this guy and that I'm Mr. Get off my lawn and stop taking rookies that have not played a down in the NFL over superstar, established, 24-year-old, ultra producer wide receivers. You're making an unnecessary risk with Bijan Robinson because you think, oh, well, those guys are chalk and I want to do something interesting.
No, that's not.
No. And here's the thing, Alan.
I've done this in higher stakes startups before, so
I'm sure you have. And I understand the 3-year window is real. I get it. But also
5 years for Bijan.
6 years for Bijan.
It doesn't. You guys are making all this up. All of this is fake. Where is this coming from? He's a very good running back prospect. He was the 8th overall pick. He's phenomenal. But he's never caught 30 passes in a college season. Christian McCaffrey caught at least 45 in a season at Stanford. So you're comparing him to the Christian McCaffrey 28 fantasy points a game mega season from a few years back. That's not a legitimate comp. That's just you two in this hype circle jerk, and it's just been going on for months now, and this is exactly what happens in June. It's like, oh, we got to move Bijan up more. 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 I understand it, by the way. I understand the zeal to draft a running back. In the Dynasty Dominator book that I wrote, I talk about the importance of drafting running back early in a dynasty startup because dynasty leagues are typically deep and you can't just go to the waiver wire and play 0 RB roulette like you can in seasonal leagues. It's a totally different format, and RB scarcity is very real in dynasty leagues, and 0 RB is a losing game, especially in dynasty. I'm also, as it turns out, this 0 RB Judas. It's in my Twitter bio that I was talking about robust RB when it wasn't cool. And so now I find myself being on the other end of the spectrum suddenly, where I'm not the cool hip guy that's getting totally hyped about rookies like I used to, and I'm not the guy that's taking all the running backs early like I used to. Now I'm just this lame, boring guy that wants players with experience and is drafting wide receivers early in Dynasty, and it doesn't feel good, but it's just what I've become.
You've had 2 running backs last season hit 20 points per game. The year before, about 2 running backs hit 20 points per game. And the year before, I believe it was 3. So you have this magical number that Bijan Robinson is capable of giving Allen that for 5 straight years. And Matt, I think the archetype for him is more along the lines of like the Todd Gurley mega seasons, where Todd Gurley had that sort of, and I think that's the sort of archetype for Bijan Robinson. He has the youth, he has the explosiveness, he has the pass catching ability, he has the top 10 draft capital, and he's fallen to a coach who gave the ball to Derrick Henry an unbelievable amount of times when he had that sort of talented running back in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator. So, and I pushed back a little bit. I had got into people on Twitter about this, but I think that the receiving upside for Bijan is there. I think stylistically they're going to design things for Bijan. You bring up Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was a 40 some odd catch guy at USC, and then has been an unbelievable. He's gone over north of 100 multiple times in the NFL. Like, I think Bijan Robinson is a 55 catch guy. I think this year he could get 65 catches as a rookie. And I think that this is the kind of guy that could be the number 1 overall pick next year in redraft and the following. So Allen's really
the hype machine in action right here. Yep. Todd Gurley never caught 65 passes in a season. And Todd Gurley only had 2 seasons on his entire career resume with more than 16 fantasy points per game. This is the nature of the running back position. In this book, The Dynasty Dominator, I acknowledge the fragility of the running back position, but also explaining why it's worth the trade-off, why you lean into the fragility in Dynasty, because yes, a guy might miss half a season, but you're going to have him for his whole career. And when the available options on waivers are not fantasy viable, are not startable, you need to get your running backs early. But when you're drafting at the 101 and you have the option of Jefferson or Chase, going Bijan Robinson is just silly.
All right,
it's silly. It's masochistic. It's not a wise move, and I think that Allen made a huge mistake.
Just
well,
like
Matt, I'll say this. Matt, you know, it's the betting on the pure talent and betting on the fact that you have nothing behind him that you really want to take at the running back position in this early half of the first round.
Then
like,
take
to
a
me,
receiver.
It's like, then
that's a receiver. It's not a big deal. It's not like he went to Dallas. It's not like he went to one of these top offenses. He's on Atlanta. And in those 2 seasons where Todd Gurley did put up more than 16 fantasy points per game, he averaged 20 touchdowns in those 2 seasons. Bijan Robinson can't score 20 touchdowns on Atlanta? What are we talking about? It's an average offensive line at best and one of the worst quarterbacks in the league on a team in a division where no one's going to be scoring 20 points in any given game.
All right, guys, we're going to have to move on, though, because we have a lot of picks to make. And I remember, by the way, Theo, this sounds eerily similar than when Matt Kelly was telling me that Trevor Lawrence was a bad pick over Javonte Williams. I think I'm 2-0 in this.
I drafted Javonte Williams, a running back, and now those teams are necessarily struggling because I am suffering from the fragility of the running back position. And in that spot, I'll go back and I'll draft Javonte Williams every damn time. Of course, I'm going Javonte Williams. I was going Javonte Williams over Jaylen Waddle, happily, for all the reasons I laid out. But this is not that. This is foregoing Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase.
Right. The only parallel I have, Theo and Podfather, is that Barkley's rookie year, when he was in this spot, the top 5, top 10 pick, and Odell Beckham was the chalk 1-1. People took Barkley over Odell, and that turned out well. So we could find examples either way, but people are yelling in the chat, guys. They're yelling for us to move on. You're on the clock, Podfather. Pick 1.2, and then Theo at 1.3.
Jamar Chase. So now, thanks to you reaching on Bijan Robinson, we're giving Theo Gremminger the chalk 101 at the 103. This is high-stakes Dynasty at its finest, where Allen's reaching on some theory that doesn't make any sense. I'm reaching technically I'm overdrafting by 1 slot, Jamar Chase, because I am chasing a rainbow, just like Allen is, but at least my rainbow is based on wide receiver production tethered to Joe Burrow and is much more consistent year to year, less likely to get injured, less likely to somehow deliver a disappointing season. If Jamar Chase was going to disappoint, it'd be last year where he did suffer injuries. He was playing hurt and yet still had some of the best metrics of any wide receiver in the sport. In fact, his expected fantasy points per game, when you look at his air yards and his target share, game after game after game, actually exceeded Justin Jefferson because every member of the Vikings experienced a lucky season. It was the luckiest team in football, the Minnesota Vikings. Jefferson was among those lucky players. Jamar Chase was actually unlucky last year and is younger and I believe has a higher ceiling because when they were playing on the same team at LSU, Jamar Chase outperformed him.
Yeah, I think it's the god tier of wide receivers here, Matt. They're it's the easiest pick to make. One of these 2 guys as a foundational piece of your dynasty roster. I don't need to waste too much time here. I'm taking Justin Jefferson with the 103. He's currently the 101 in redraft this year. Last year was a league winner. He was the wide receiver 1 overall. I think both of these wide receivers are going to be battling it out this year for, the biggest fantasy points scorer across the NFL. So this is easy. But right now, Allen has a difficult decision because Allen, the 104, to me, Matt and Allen, this is a tier break between Bijan, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. However you want to rank them, it becomes an actual decision at the 104. And I see people going a lot of different ways.
I disagree with that too, though. I don't even agree with that. I think that Bijan is in this next tier. Bijan is in this next tier with CeeDee Lamb. I don't know what Allen's going to do. He's probably not going to go CeeDee Lamb because he's doing crazy shit.
This is how I draft, man. This is how I win.
This is how he drafts. This is how he drafts. It's fine. He's not going to go CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, I'm hoping I get CeeDee Lamb, but if we're talking about tiers, it's Chase and Jefferson in a tier, and this is actually in our Dynasty rankings, you can see the lifetime value ratings where Bijan and Lamb have similar lifetime value ratings and Jefferson and Chase have similar lifetime value ratings because that's rational. That's not based on just months and months of hype on hype on hype on hype. But go ahead, Alan. Pick someone not CeeDee Lamb who should be in this tier and should be the chalk.
And Alan, recap it for everybody.
Okay, so I picked first. I took Bijan Robinson, knowing that I'm going to like the wide receivers when they come back around. Podfather jumps up a spot on ADP to take Jamar Chase. No problem there. He has the better quarterback of the elite wide receivers. Theo has nothing to do besides open up his lap and let Justin Jefferson fall right into it. I'm with Theo. I think this is the line of demarcation here, and the cheap advice is trade back. We know that Dynasty players have become very smart, and nobody's allowing you to trade back in this next tier. If you think Bijan's in it, Podfather, that's fine. But the next 5 to 7 or 8 picks, you can make a case for any of them. The guy who I like the best is above CeeDee Lamb is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 months younger. We're not going to quibble over that. I'm assuming that you guys have him as a higher dog rating. This guy, the only thing on his resume that you don't like is the 4th-round draft capital, which is erased after 2 elite seasons, right? I can understand why someone would take CeeDee Lamb. I think that in Superflex leagues, his ADP gets artificially pushed up because the person picking on the turn grabs Dak and CeeDee for a stack. I prefer Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has pushed all receivers out of the way, has Jared Goff, who I think we all agree is the modern-day Andy Dalton, right? The definition of the 15th quarterback in the NFL. So if they upgrade that position, Amon-Ra is the only guy outside in this tier that is going to walk onto the field with 10 targets each game, every game.
I like the conviction you have for Amon-Ra St. Brown, Alan. I will just say it's tough. It's tough, right, for me to push him above CeeDee Lamb. It's tough for me to push him up a couple other in front of a few other wide receivers. And I'll say a year from now, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is worth more than Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think there's a possibility of him getting lapped by another one of his teammates where we don't really necessarily see that fear with a couple of these other guys. But I think that's warranted. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown for me is a first rounder in a dynasty startup. I love him. I think he's great. I like him a lot in redraft. I just don't like him as much as a couple of these wide receivers that Matt and I am sure are going to select.
Yeah, you are very lucky that the Lions didn't draft Chris Olave, right? Or Garrett Wilson. Those were players that were drafted in very similar slots to Jameson Williams. You're fortunate that they drafted a guy who's now breaking league rules and getting suspended. And whenever you see that kind of knucklehead factor, that lowers the dog rating as well, because you can't build your dog rating by killing it in practice and, if you're not going to be there, by killing the game if you're not going to be there. So there is a question of his dedication and his headspace if this is going to happen to him, if he's going to let this happen to him. Maybe it was inadvertent, maybe it wasn't, doesn't matter. I can tell you Amon-Ra St. Brown's never going to get on the wrong side of those kinds of league rules. He's so dialed in. I love his whole mentality, but he is a slot flanker, which also is CeeDee Lamb, by the way. CeeDee Lamb had a high slot rate as well, higher than most people think. His slot rate was number 6 in the NFL. 45% of CeeDee Lamb's snaps were out of the slot, but CeeDee Lamb is able to succeed at any position on the football field. He can win at X, he can win at Y, he can win at Z. Amon-Ra, not quite that versatile. And Amon-Ra has Jared Goff, where CeeDee Lamb has Dak Prescott. This offense is not predicated on Kellen Moore calling the plays. This is a pass-first offense, period. And you got to see it proven when they said no to Zeke and they didn't backfill the running back position at all. So that's all you needed. That's all the proof you needed that this franchise is a pass-first franchise, irrespective of who the offensive coordinator is. And if you're going to be pass-first with this kind of weaponry, keeping defenses honest, Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup, yet they lose the targets in the passing game that were least effective. They lose Dalton Schultz. They lose Ezekiel Elliott. This offense is only going to be better. And CeeDee Lamb, who I'm picking here in this spot, was top 10 in both target rate, which is targets per route run, yards after the catch, and yards per route run. And also juke rate, evaded tackles per touch. So he's amazing on deep targets. He's amazing with air yards and before the catch. He was top 10 in deep targets on PlayerProfiler.com with 26, 1.5 per game. And then he's also amazing after the catch, based on the yards after the catch data that we have, but also the juke rate is one of a true yards after the catch savant. For all these reasons, the situation and the performance data and the efficiency metrics, it's a slam dunk on CeeDee Lamb. I think it's a conversation between CeeDee Lamb and Bijan Robinson. I would rather have CeeDee Lamb than Bijan Robinson in a startup. That's who I would take because I've just gone full zero RB apparently. I can't believe it. I was a zero RB Judas 2 years ago. Now I'm Mr. Zero RB because I refuse to take Bijan Robinson, who's never taken an NFL snap, over someone that checks all the boxes in the best possible situation you could ever imagine in CeeDee Lamb. And I'm very happy to get him because Allen is just reaching multiple spots just to make this show interesting. Thank you, Allen. Thank you for taking a dive to make the show interesting.
Allen, you're reaching a maximum of 2 spots. But it's within the tier. And CeeDee Lamb, great pick, Matt. I mean, he's 24 years old. He's just a very, very valuable player. I'll say that like trade equity matters in Dynasty to me a lot. I want to be able to have assets that are worth a lot as well. So that would be kind of if you're on the Bijan versus CeeDee Lamb train, I think that's the tiebreaker though, Matt. I think Bijan is worth significantly more if you wanted to change your team if things were not going well. But I do think Lamb is worth more than Amon-Ra St.
until the first week. Until everybody realizes, oh shit, he's on the Falcons and he's in the NFC South and this is a disaster.
Moon on the record, Bijan to the moon. I'm going to go with AJ Brown at 6 overall here, guys.
Chalk.
AJ Brown is listen, it's chalk. I'm eating the chalk. I think AJ Brown is going to have in year 1 in Philadelphia, he smashed. We love the offensive situation. I believe in the head coach. I believe that AJ Brown is a true alpha. I think that the DeVonta Smith threats to him as the wide receiver 1, I think that's a little bit overblown. I think right now, like I've talked about it I'm not allowed to talk redraft on this show. I know, Alan, people don't like that, but I think that they're getting a little tighter in redraft than they should. I think AJ Brown could be wide receiver 1 overall this year. I think he could challenge for it. I wouldn't bet on it, but I think that there's a chance that his year 2 in Philadelphia is going to be better than his year 1. We had, volume concerns in Tennessee in terms of his total targets. Last year, he crossed 140. I think this year he could get up to 160. And I think that he's a player that can completely take over an NFL game and win the week for you. And at 26 years old, I really love his window in Philadelphia. He's a guy I feel super confident with in the middle of first rounds of startup. So I'm AJ Brown at the 106.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a popular pick right there. It's hard to critique any pick in this tier right here. The only thing that I would say is the reason I haven't gotten AJ Brown, guys, is that DeVonta Smith didn't trail him by too much last year, and I've been trying to get DeVonta in rounds 2, but look, you got to take someone in the first round. Why not take a true alpha with a contract with a top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback? How do you tell anyone this? That's why I was arguing with Podfather, guys, is like, how can you if Amon-Ra goes at pick 9 and I have pick 4, I only get one pick in the first round. So I got to take the guy who I believe is on top of that. But I understand the arguments. Why not? At this point of the draft, I want to say if Breece Hall was healthy, I would take Breece Hall here. I still believe that having these elite workhorse running backs as your first pick is, when you look at like how drafts fall out in ADP, is the way to do it. But I'm not taking a guy in the first round building my team around an injured player. Fading injury optimism will usually make you money in fantasy football, guys. So I'm Jaylen Waddle right here. It's not often you see like a number 2 wide receiver on his own team go in the top here, but I mean, what we saw there is that this is probably Larry Fitzgerald and Aquan Bolden type of situation where both guys could be number 1 wide receivers. I don't think that he has the upside of some of the other guys that we're going to take after, but I believe that he has the highest floor of any of the guys that will go after. And I just don't want to fail with my first round pick. Jaylen Waddle cannot fail. And a bad season for him will be wide receiver 9. A good season for him will be wide receiver 4. I acknowledge he will never be wide receiver 1.
And I'd argue that Jaylen Waddle might have the highest contingent upside in all of fantasy among wide receivers. Because I think that if Tyreek Hill were to miss time in that scheme with Mike McDaniel, I mean, Matt, you're talking about wide receiver 1 overall this year in the range of outcomes for Waddle if Hill misses like 6 games. And even if Hill plays year 2 with Mike McDaniel, I mean, nobody did a better job of getting his 2 best players the ball, and they haven't added anything to kind of challenge there. So I love Jaylen Waddle. I like that pick. I mean, you could go a number of ways here. It's a really great.
Do you guys
tier.
see how this set up for me? By the way, did you see how this set up?
I did.
You guys see how this set up? You know who I'm going to pick, right? You know I'm going to get everything I wanted.
Well, this is a new person. Put your glasses on. This is a different man.
Oh wait, that's right.
Matt, this is not you.
Sorry. Oh my God.
This is
when
hold
I
on.
picked Lamb. By the way, everybody, when I picked Lamb, I was the cool guy.
No, this was Lamb.
Yeah,
this was
cool
Lamb.
Guy.
Yeah,
now
cool
you're
guy.
now you're
Lamb.
nerdy glasses.
I had
you're
everyone pretend I had these glasses on. I was very cool picking CeeDee Lamb. Now I'm going to be very studious. We have another reach by Allen setting me up for another slam dunk. And guess what? I'm going to get my running back. Oh, wait, these are different teams. All these are different teams. Okay, so I'm going to get my street cred back regardless. I know these are different teams, and I'm the guy with the glasses, and you're going to see that what I was writing in here is true. I believe this. You need building around running backs, unless you can get Chase or Lamb, is the way to go. With my next pick, I go Breece Hall, who is definitively a better receiver than Bijan Robinson on a better team, a similar age with a nice 3-year window coming up. You guys can eat it.
Bijan Robinson is not coming off of a big time injury, and Bijan Robinson also went in the top 10 of the NFL draft. I love Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall's fine. I think he's a first round pick. I probably would have leaned into a wide receiver and taken Breece Hall in a couple of picks. So my pick here is going to be Garrett Wilson. Alan, I'm on Garrett Wilson. I could have gone a number of ways. I'll stay with the Jets. We're going back-to-back Jets, Matt. So it's a new day in Dynasty. We're 2 Jets in the first round. I'm going Garrett Wilson. I think that he is a guy that this is going to be his first of many wide receiver 1 seasons. Last year, he had the second most targets that a rookie has ever had in the NFL. Anquan Bolden had the most, and last year, Garrett Wilson had the second most. He went over 80 catches. He went over 1,100 yards, despite having extremely poor quarterback play. He was a top 10 NFL pick. He's a fantastic talent. I think at the end of the day, he's going to be one of the best Jet skill position players all time. And I think this is the first year for him where he's going to finish as a wide receiver 1 with Aaron Rodgers. I understand there's some concerns. Matt, I know you and Danny Kelly talked about it on Mind a Mansion about how Garrett Wilson, maybe his game doesn't completely line up with like an Aaron Rodgers game plan. But I think that this is the kind of guy, when it comes down to it, he's going to command targets. Alan Lazard's never had more than 100 targets in his career. Randall Cobb is old. Tyler Conklin is Tyler Conklin. And Breece Hall, your pick, Matt, is coming off of a major injury and might be slow played to start the year. So I think Garrett Wilson is the focal point of the offense. They have a really hard schedule to start the season, and I think Wilson's going to be a big part of them, how they do winning and losing. So at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers' last run, he's going to get the ball in Garrett Wilson's hands.
regarding Breece Hall, if you don't draft a player like Breece Hall, who is a total all-purpose stud and could be the heir to Austin Eckler in terms of the 20-plus fantasy points a game by getting downfield in the passing game, he's a true route runner out of the backfield. If you pass on that guy because you think he's going to be slow played for a couple weeks in Dynasty, that doesn't make sense.
This is just an argument for this year, Garrett Wilson smash season. Breece Hall's a great pick. Breece Hall's a first-round pick in Dynasty startups. I completely agree with you on that.
He better be a first-round pick.
If he was not injured, I think Breece Hall would be going in the top 4 of this conversation.
I like my options. If I'm putting my glasses on, I'm the 8th pick. I'm in the 8 hole. I like my option at wide receiver on the way back around. Don't worry.
Hey guys, the Breece Hall thing, usually it's 10 months to return to play, which is puts them at week 1, and it's about 18 months until they get back to a healthy. I mean, this is just basics. I mean, everyone's going to be everyone's a little bit different.
It is true,
but you could also say that these guys are never exactly the same. But even if Breece Hall is 89% of what he once was, he's still an elite first-round running back. So I don't expect, like I said, he could be in a committee for the entire year, and you could be regretting that. So my strategy, if I really want Breece Hall, would be a buy low during the season, and I think that's a realistic, because it's cheap advice. Buy low, sell high, but I think he's a true buy low in week 3 when that manager's 0-3 or 1-4, and you could get him. You'd have to pay, but maybe you pay 80, 90 cents on the dollar. Hey, question for you here. Single quarterback leagues. Is there an argument for taking Mahomes, Josh Allen, Hurts in the first round of a Dynasty startup? At this point, 10, 11, 12?
I can't pull the trigger on it. I think that you lose your edge doing that. I think that you jump into that tier of player when things become flat. And I know certain Dynasty ranks may have those guys valued a little bit higher than we do. But I think that we present those guys to you in our player profiler rankings where it becomes a desirable tier for them. When we kind of get a little flatter, because I mean, right now, Alan, not to have table talk.
No table talk.
You'd be passing up on several running backs and several wide receivers who could give you league-winning upside, for years to come. And you can make up for it a little bit easier at quarterback, despite the fact that those 3 guys are so appealing. I don't think you can consider that.
Opposed to Pat Mahomes, who has no league-winning upside, Theo? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just think it's, and maybe that's for me, I just can't do it. I think that, and I've heard your argument for it, and I get it. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it gives you tremendous stability with your Dynasty team, but I think that you might lack, the pure cutting edge. I mean, and Mahomes could have a 50-touchdown season again this year, Alan, and that might be like, oh my gosh, you could have taken Mahomes there instead of, But I think fundamentally the idea of making the quarterback your focal point of your build in a startup, I think it's just poor process.
I'm going to pick in a minute, but Matt Kelly, any excuse, or do you think it's defensible in any way? Because Theo already made the case, why not? Can you find a case for taking one of the elites at 10, 11, 12?
No. What?
Okay.
Are you kidding me? No, we're like 10 picks away from considering quarterback.
Yeah, like where we have Mahomes in our Dynasty rankings is the second half of the second round, if you're reading off of it. So it's like, I think that's about right, Alan.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, the first 8 games of Josh Allen scrambled people's brains last year. You're not going to see that again. Don't worry. You're not going to see that again. That was like, oh my God, we're going to take him as the first overall pick. The quarterback has incredible leverage. Then we look up and it was like, oh wait, he didn't even he wasn't. Well, the second half matters, and no, that's actually not true.
Right.
You don't take a quarterback in the first round of a Dynasty startup. You do not do that if this is single quarterback. If it's super flex, the entire first round is quarterback pretty much. Non-super flex, none in the first round. It's that simple.
Yeah. I would agree with you on your point, Josh Allen. I think that if you were to consider this, and again, Player Profiler is not recommending that you do, but you should. The only one would be Pat Mahomes, and again, not recommending, but that would be the one because of the floor-ceiling combination. But again,
I don't even agree with that. I think I'm on the wrong side of the public in a bunch of these positions with my first player at that position. So, for example, I prefer Hurts to Mahomes. Okay. I prefer Chase to Jefferson. And it shouldn't be hot at all. I think those are coin flips, but yet there is this consensus.
Yeah. All right. Well, pick 10
Which
for me.
which glasses do consensus guy wear, Matt? You got to pull something out of the arsenal here. It's got to be
consensus.
maybe a hat.
Consensus guy.
wearing a hat.
This really is consensus guy. You know
That's-
what?
no,
That's
that's
what I'll
pick
do.
12.
I'll go
That's pick 11
consensus.
guy. That's
I'm
pick
gonna
11.
go pick 11. I'm gonna go consensus with this guy.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go pick 10, and again, if I'm on the clock, this is my first pick. I'm gonna continue with the philosophy that I like having that one elite running back, and I'm gonna take Jonathan Taylor, even though there's a break with the wide receiver tier for me. It sounds like you're giving me the thumbs up on that. Not much explanation needed, other than we're looking at a 3-year window where JT is at least a top 6 or 7 running back in the final rankings. If he
And
stays
we
healthy.
talked with Anand about it in the Decision Point show. If there's a running back that we know with certainty will be extended by his team, it is Jonathan Taylor. So do not worry about him going to another team. He's going to have Anthony Richardson, who is exceeding expectations already in camp. He's going to take advantage of the Alfred Morris corollary. Can you imagine Jonathan Taylor in a situation where he has to deal with less linebackers because of his quarterback? It's going to be great.
Consensus guy is up at pick 11 with his interesting glasses.
I can predict the Podfather's pick here. I can get in Father's head.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat because he's not looking at the chat. Predict the.
I'm gonna guess that Matt
put
is
it in
on.
Don't say it. Put it in the chat.
These glasses, they hurt. I don't want to. I've got, because here's the thing. Everything in my body, my head and my heart, are screaming the name Chris Olave.
That's what I thought.
Everything about what I'm doing is Chris Olave, but I can't do it. The Podfather would go Chris Olave, but Chris Olave is not who people pick here. No. This is consensus douchebag. Okay? And what's consensus guy going to do? He's just going to look at the ADP. He's just going to look at what everybody's doing here. He's going to buy the hype. He's going to draft some rookie running back who hasn't done a goddamn thing in the league. So this guy is going Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's actually a great pick, Matt. That was going to be my pick. You sniped me. Consensus guy sniped me because Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm taking ahead of Jonathan Taylor, guys. If I had head to head, I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the next McCaffrey, Eckler, like 90 catch kind of guy. And Matt's shaking his head. Matt, you should be very, very happy about getting Jahmyr Gibbs there. I took him in a startup.
You really, honestly, you're in the wrong line of business. You running content at Player Profiler, you're in the wrong line of business. You should start a train company. You should start.
It's a hype
We've
train.
had big train wrecks. We need competition in the train business. You are a great train conductor. The hype trains that you're running on these tracks are going faster than anywhere. You're in the wrong line of business.
We just need to look at the draft capital here, Matt. It's a can't miss draft capital for Jahmyr Gibbs. The last running backs who have hit this have all had top 6 seasons.
Oh, I'm aware.
Jahmyr Gibbs, you've been doing this a long time, Matt. You know.
Oh, I know.
I'm trying to have a serious conversation when I'm looking at
these trends are trends until they're not, Theo. That's how it works.
So just to be clear for the
That's
audience,
how it works.
guys, just to be clear for the audience, pick 11 was consensus guy, charactered by Podfathers, taking Jahmyr Gibbs. Theo, you're on the clock now. Remember, for 2 picks, because your team 12, which also owns pick 13, we're reversing the order now. So Theo, you're on the hook here for 2.
I was not prepared for that, Alan. I'm gonna take a second here. I will say I love the Gibbs pick that Matt make, and Matt, you actually get him a spot lower than we have him at our Dynasty rankings right now, Player Profiler. So you get a little value there. Consensus guy got value too. You're a value guy and you're consensus guy. So
I know.
I'm gonna go.
Yes, Theo. We're well aware that you're very involved with the rankings.
But I'll take the layup here. You give me the layup. I'm taking Chris Olave.
Yeah, of course.
At the 112. I mean,
God
this is a guy. And I'd like to pat myself on the back. I actually had a Jahmyr Gibbs, Chris Olave team out of the 111 at an FFPC startup. I love that start.
That's
Olave,
amazing. That's incredible.
Chris Olave, the only concern I have about Chris Olave is every single person that I think is sharp loves Chris Olave. You want like one person to push back and be like, I'm not into Chris Olave. Like everyone loves Chris Olave. Like at Player Profiler alone, Matt loves Chris Olave. I love Chris Olave. Billy Muzio really, really loves Chris Olave. We're all aboard the Chris Olave train. And then like among the high stakes players that I talk to, they all love Chris Olave, but it makes sense. Like Chris Olave is it. He has the talent. I think he's tremendous. And I think that he is going to be a top 10 wide receiver this year. I think the Derek Carr addition was really good for him. Derek Carr has consistently elevated his number one target or kept them where they were. Last year, Devontae Adams, top 5 season. The year before, Hunter Renfrow, he pushed into wide receiver 1 land. The 2 seasons before, Darren Waller was a top 3 tight end.
Just stop it. Just stop it.
It's Olave, man.
Just stop it. Just stop it. It hurts my soul because I'm going to pick in 2 picks, and you closed out an important tier. There's going to be a bunch of running backs in similar tiers. We got McCaffrey. We got Barkley.
Whoa.
We got a bunch of guys coming up. So consensus guy, all he had to do was trust the Podfather, go with Olave, and then he could have had the draft room decide on whatever running back he wanted. That's the game theory that's involved, especially when you're picking around the turn, pick 9, 10, 11. You got to think about who can I get on the way back around. That was part of the case for Olave with the 11th pick. And because I'm wearing these glasses, I had to go consensus, and now I'm have to drop down a wide receiver tier.
Well, I am gonna go running back here, Matt, and I'm gonna go Saquon Barkley,
of course.
So I get a little older, but he's 26 years old, so I'm getting a player that's younger than Eckler, younger than McCaffrey, not to be table talky, and I think that Saquon is poised for a possible running back 1 overall season this year with Dable in year 2. I also think that Saquon, and I realize we have a very, very strong free agent class coming up. I know you and Memphis Young touched on that, Matt, on Mind a Mansion. I know that you and Anand have discussed this as well. But I think that if Saquon goes on the open market after the year that he's going to have this year at 27 years old, he's going to pick his situation. It's going to be fantastic. So I think Saquon has a larger window than some are giving him credit for. And I think that this year he's going to be even better than he was last year. I'm going to take him at 13 overall. I don't love taking a 26-year-old running back there, but Saquon makes too much sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm dropping down a tier, and I'm going DK Metcalf. I know this is above consensus, and this is a consensus guy, but I can't do it. I can't do it. Right? I'm not going to go running back. That's not happening. That's what consensus guy would do. Consensus guy would go McCaffrey. I'm not doing it. Okay? DK Metcalf has become one of the most underrated wide receivers in Dynasty. He's put up 3 straight seasons of 1,600-plus air yards, and they're going to be one of the top offenses in the NFC this year. He's in a smash spot, age 25, 3-4-year Dynasty window. Everything is clicking into place. He's had 130 targets every year during that stretch as well. There's nothing not to like. He's a picture of health. He was missing a number of games at Ole Miss, right? We thought coming in, this guy is a sports car, but he's going to be in the shop a lot with his body. 17 games played. 17 before that, 16. He's underrated for Dynasty, man. I want him bad. I'll take him. I'm going DK only because I set myself up for this with bad game theory with my 11th pick.
Yep. So on the clock here at 15, guys, right? My first pick on this team was JT. So you would think that I want to get a wide receiver here, but let me explain why I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes, right? I know he doesn't come into play for you till the end of this round, but this also allows me to keep one quarterback on my roster at all times, right? So I can now have 2 extra spots to put to backfill running backs. Now, I know on the JT team, probably wide receiver here, but I'm still going to push that down a little bit. This type of build is not for everybody, but there is one guy who I think we could safely say, and I'm not the Dynasty 10 years from now guy, but I think that Patrick Mahomes is looking at, I mean, last year it was a bad season for him, and he was what, quarterback 6, Theo? I mean, that's the floor for this guy. And specifically, I want you to keep in mind, if you're playing in a league that has 25 roster spots like the FFPC, or if you're not playing in a 40 deep, maybe this is a little different, where I can roster 4 or 5 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks. I want to save those roster spots. That's why I'm taking Patrick Mahomes right here, right now.
You're a fool.
It's a few picks earlier than I would have considered him, Alan. But I'm not gonna hate on it. But I do think it's difficult to like take him ahead of a couple of the guys Matt and I are gonna take. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay with Matt, you got to sneak in maybe a fart sound effect as well, just to
wrap it up,
just for emphasis, to really wrap it up and really pour on.
Okay, well, I'll see your fart sound effect and I'll raise you a full toilet flush.
Any merit to the argument?
Was that CGI, Matt? It was incredible. Was it Christopher Nolan, or was it an Avengers movie?
That was me. That was I just started recording myself.
Martin Scorsese level.
Theo, any merit to the holding one quarterback? You've been in these FFPC drafts where the roster cut down is just brutal, and just being able to hold Patrick Mahomes and knowing he could fill in with, in his bye week with whoever is the pop-up the Cooper Rush of the week. I mean, there is value in having those 1 or 2 extra roster spots.
No, for sure. I mean, Mahomes gives you some flexibility in terms of being able to punt the rest of QB. I mean, you don't have to carry a backup QB. There's some arguments with that. It's just the fundamental idea of me passing on a potential top 5 running back, a potential top 10 wide receiver, a potential tight end 1 overall, for a quarterback. It's just fundamentally we disagree on that. But I love Mahomes. If it was 5 picks from now, he would have been a guy in my queue. But I'm going to stay in Philadelphia.
But by the way, this is we forgot to tell you, it's an 8-point passing touchdown league.
Thank you, Alan, for telling us that this deep in. I'm going to go with DeVonta Smith. And I think DeVonta Smith is going to be a big time, long term contributor at the wide receiver position. I like getting him in the second round. He set the Eagles record for most receptions in a year. He had 96 receptions in year 2. Again, all the things I talked about with A.J. Brown, how I love the offense. I love the head coach. I love the quarterback. And I think that DeVonta Smith will continue to thrive. I just think he lacks the pure upside that I think A.J. Brown, a max DeVonta Smith season is not what a max A.J. Brown season looks like to me. So I am going with DeVonta Smith at 16 overall.
Good number 2 running back. Good number 2 wide receiver to get there. Way to go. Way to get a number 2 wide receiver, buddy.
Love it. I love it.
Good job. And Goddard's there too.
I do.
Yeah.
It's the pie grows larger, Matt, and everyone eats in Philadelphia.
I certainly think that Jalen Hurts is going to do well, but little early for DeVonta Smith. Early. I know he's going there. This is where he's going. I get it. But I just don't see. I need a little more sex appeal. Hence the DK Metcalf pick for me.
Hey Matt, did you know?
It's the 5. To me, it's there's wide receivers I would consider head to head with DeVonta Smith, and not to get too table talky, but one of them's also a number 2 in his offense with T. Higgins, and then an offense that is. I don't think Cincinnati is quite as good as what I think Philadelphia could be this year, just in terms of breaking fantasy. And I think it's going to be more Jamar Chase. Whereas the other wide receivers I would consider, I'm giving up 5 years versus DeVonta Smith. So I get it. Some of these guys are fantastic, but there's a couple of them in consideration would be do I take a 24-year-old here, or can I really take a 29-year-old, which I also considered one of those older players here. So DeVonta
Let's
Smith
talk about my pick here, because I'm in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
teammate taking Breece Hall actually backfired on me in a major way. I forgot that typically you could get DK Metcalf here, but now because I'm drafting against myself, I couldn't. So myself screwed myself, and it's become a problem. So again, a total failure of game theory and team build. So the best player available, the guy with the most lifetime value, actually is Kenneth Walker here. Kenneth Walker is a great pick here. Also, Christian McCaffrey, right? However, a running back, and especially a running back past the AJ packs like Christian McCaffrey, that is a win-now mode team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch our dynasty rankings right now. Okay, so you can watch. We should watch this. We should watch me do this. We're going to switch the dynasty rankings in real time. Okay. To rebuild.
Take that overlay off so people could see what's going on.
And now we see what's happening. And if we keep scrolling to the first player that is going to be available, it is still Kenneth Walker, right? But I already have a running back, and I'm in rebuild mode. I'm less likely to start running back. If I'm in win now mode, I'm much more likely to start running back because running backs are much more year to year in terms of what you can expect. Running backs 1 year, like Todd Gurley, they're putting up 26 fantasy points. The next year, 16. Knowing that about running backs, if you're in rebuild mode, you should be leaning wide receiver. Therefore, if we continue to scroll, the player I'm selecting here, because I am officially now in a rebuild mode, and I'm assuming that the team situation for the player I'm about to draft is going to improve in the next year or two, I am going to select Drake London.
Ooh. I would rather have Christian Watson than Drake London for all of the negative things you said about Atlanta's offense earlier. Just rewind the tape.
I don't love it. I don't love it at all, and trust me, I would much prefer if I could go back in time, draft Garrett Wilson, come back, draft Kenneth Walker. Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker would feel phenomenal.
Would you consider one of the old
Breece
guys
Hall,
here?
Drake London does not feel phenomenal. It feels bad. But it's what I have.
21
It's what I have. It's the strategy I've backed into, and there's nothing I can do about it.
He's still 21, and he's shown immense talent on the field. Alan, Alan, where are you taking Drake London if it's not the end of the second round kind of deal,
Not in this round, man. Not in this round.
Not in this round for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take all the old guys before I take Drake London. Meaning Cooper Kupp, with Tyreek Hill. I'm missing somebody here, not Devontae Adams. I'm going to take
Steffon Diggs.
Steffon Diggs. I'm going to take the older producers before him because Drake London may never be. We love just because of all the reason Podfather said. The reason that I talking out of both sides of my mouth is because I think that a running back might be immune to if the offense doesn't fire. And this is also why I don't recommend taking Breece Hall in the first round because you're automatically basically now in punt mode for the year. And let's say it's a $400, $100 startup. Doesn't matter. You've basically just handed that money in. For what reason? The other players that were available to you were, hey, I have a chance to win that money now. I'm on the clock.
You're OTC, Alan.
Yeah, I'm OTC.
You're going to take Josh Allen, double down at the QB spot?
No. I think that this is the right Christian McCaffrey spot. I think he represents win now, and he will be, if you decide that you don't want to win now and you want to go into the player profiler rebuild mode, use those rankings, this is the number one sell asset in week 7, week 8, week 10. You'll be able to get the most out of any veteran for Christian McCaffrey because, like you said, he's going to be putting up 24s, 25s, 19s, 28s. So you'll be able to get 2 first-round picks for him at any point from a win-now team. So I'll take McCaffrey here, knowing it's win now. and there's good resale value in 2023 if I need to.
I was going to take Christian McCaffrey if you didn't take him there, Alan, and I think this is perfect. I've seen him go way high, like in a lot of these FFPC startups. I've seen him go in the top 5 occasionally, and I just think he's a little too old for that. But this season alone, he's set to smash. He's the favorite to be running back 1 overall, and his receiving upside should keep him a little more viable than between the tackles type running back. For me, since you took him, I'm going to go T. Higgins, who I considered.
By the way,
DeVonta
in
Smith
our win now mode on our rankings, he's top 10.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the guys, if you're going for the money, Christian McCaffrey is right there. So, to me, I'm going to go T. Higgins here. T. Higgins is the kind of guy that we've been waiting to have like a very large target season. I think that's kind of been the holdup for him. But he's still only 24 years old. I believe him a big time in the talent. I believe big time in the quarterback situation. Also, what's very interesting, Matt, is T. Higgins is a free agent at the end of the year.
That's very interesting.
So if they don't extend him, T. Higgins is going to get a massive contract, and I think that there will be a race to get a 25-year-old T. Higgins by pretty much the entire NFL, because I think he does have alpha in his range of outcomes. He just happens to be playing next to the wide receiver that we have at wide receiver 1 overall in Dynasty. So I've gone with 2 wide receiver 2s in this round on their own team, but I don't hate either pick. I'm going T. Higgins here.
T. Higgins is not going anywhere, right? They're going to the 90% chance, 85% chance they re-sign him. This is the trio. I know the money situation. I heard your podcast with Anand, Podfather, but it just seems
I wouldn't
like
re-sign him.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money wrapped up in 3 players.
Yes, it is. But I
Burrow,
think that's what
Chase, and Higgins to put that much into 3 guys is
like
difficult.
It's like the Golden State Warriors, right? The 3 guys. That's what they're going to do. That seems
it's not
what
basketball,
it's like.
dude.
I understand. I totally get it. Also, the percentages of cap are different too. But I'm not saying what they should do. I'm saying what I believe. Like if you're trying to project where T. Higgins will be playing in 24, at very minimum, it's going to be franchise tag. He's going to be back there. So in Dynasty, you're going to get your 23 and 24, those years of T. Higgins. I think that's a lock almost, a virtual lock. They're not going to cut him loose. They're going to franchise tag him at very minimum. It would seem like logic.
I think if they franchise tag him, he's not getting extended.
Right, but they could at least punt it 1 more year and see what happens.
Of course. They can punt it 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If you're drafting T. Higgins, I think you need to draft him understanding the next 2 seasons, this is his setup.
Understood.
All right. Podfather, OTC at pick 20. And this is, by the way, the team that has – this is a cool guy that took CeeDee in the first round.
This is
Can
cool
you
guy.
show the draft, Alan? Because I wanna see it visually.
Okay, you guys want to see the draft? I got the draft right here.
Okay.
I got it up. You guys ready? Just want to see it? You guys ready to see it? This is it.
I've been putting it in the chat too, by the way. So if you need to see the picks, you could scroll.
No, I just wanted to catch up here.
This is what we have so far. Bijan
Looking
Robinson, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Jaylen Waddle, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chris Olave, Saquon Barkley, DK Metcalf, Patrick Mahomes, DeVonta Smith, Christian McCaffrey, T. Higgins. A lot of chalk on here, boys. A lot of chalk. And I am thinking about going off the board a little bit, not going chalk. But the funny thing is, and the great thing is that our rankings are not chalk, but they're just correct, and they're what you should be doing. And so this cool guy is actually having the best draft so far because he gets CeeDee Lamb in round 1 at value, and then he also gets Kenneth Walker, a proper bell cow back who will eat Zach Charbonnet for breakfast and shit him out into the toilet an hour later.
No problem with this one here. This is, Ken Walker was my RB1 before Charbonnet was before Bijan was landed, and before Charbonnet came in. So I don't know where do you guys have him currently as the RB Dynasty? What Dynasty RB? What is he? 5? Is he 7? Is he 3? Like, where is he for you guys? As you're looking at the rankings,
we currently have Ken Walker at RB7. So this is right in line for us. And again, it's pretty close for us when it comes to, the 4 through 7 are not separated by that many points. So, Kenneth Walker, it's very interesting. We've talked about this at length. Matt is not worried, not overly worried about Charbonnet. And I think the great thing about Kenneth Walker is we've actually seen it, Matt. We've seen him be able to, do it on an NFL field. And that's the greatest indicator for these guys. We're not asking him to take a leap. We're just asking him to do the exact same thing he did over the second half of last season. So if he can continue to do that and the Charbonnet threat is not real, then this is a great value. He's got potential to really, really crush his ADP where you got him at.
Thank you very much. 3 of my last 5 picks have been a running back. I have my running back bona fides restored.
No. Cool Guys only made 2 picks. Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just me personally as an overarching person, but then all the individual people, they make their own decisions. It's confusing.
The Matt Kelly multiverse.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
Yep. On the clock, guys, at pick 21, I saw some maniac take Patrick Mahomes. So I'm with you guys. Jalen Hurts, age, where the arrow is headed here. I think Jalen Hurts goes right here.
No,
if I'm in a draft right now, that's the pick right there. It's again, I think that he qualifies, Theo, that I only need to have one running back on my roster. And if I get stuck in a certain week 11 or whenever the Eagles bye is, and there'll be somebody out there. Mac Jones in a single quarterback league will probably be out there. And if he's not, I'll be able to trade my 3rd round pick for some scrub spot start type of guy or 2nd rounder. So I like the freedom of having 2 or 3 extra roster spaces. I think it's more valuable than we're giving it credit for. And that's why an elite quarterback here makes so much sense. Jalen Hurts, pick 21.
This is more in the line of where I think it's appropriate, Alan. I think at back end of the 2nd round, early 3rd, those guys are going to get cleaned up in most of these startup drafts. For me, I really, 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 really wanted to take Jackson Smith and Jigba, but I'm going to pass and I'm going to go old, and I'm going to go Tyreek Hill because he's 29 years old, but I think Tyreek Hill, this is a little bit early. I'd prefer to get him in the 3rd, but I think that he has wide receiver 1 overall upside for the next 2 seasons. And I think he's just such an elite talent that I cannot pass him at this range. I think that he's, again, I always try to have the optimistic approach for guys in the 2nd year in that offense. And we saw Tyreek Hill absolutely crush his previous target total under Mike McDaniel in year 1. What if the targets go up, guys? I mean, Tyreek Hill could just have a legendary season. So I'm going Tyreek Hill. The age scares me a little bit. This is the part of the draft where I'm a little less afraid to take the wide receivers, that group of wide receivers Alan referenced that are a little bit older but truly elite. And to me, Tyreek Hill is my preference of those 3. I'm going Tyreek Hill here.
I mean, those receivers are in play at the beginning of the round, the middle of the round, or the end of the round. It just, what kind of bet do you want to make? Do you want to make the Drake London type of bet, which is a good bet, long term? Or do you want to say, hey, I know what I'm getting with Tyreek Hill. He's going to retire in 3 years. I have no problem with either side. Just depends on what you want to do with your team.
Retire in 3 years, Tyreek Hill, but you can average 20 points per game for the next 3. And then we'll get you a gold watch on the way out when I cash all my money on those 3 wins.
Podfather, you're up at pick 23 right now, and this is the Jamar Chase team.
I'm switching over into win now mode, guys. I'm going Steffon Diggs. Any arguments?
No.
This is in win now mode. This is win now mode.
Yeah, this is the team. Like I said, this is old guy time. Old guy, high-end producers right now. Anyone that has a 29 or higher next to their name who's going to give you mega fantasy points, this is how you win Dynasty, because your league is probably going to fade them. And for, like you said, for the Jackson Smith and Jigba types, the really unproven guys that don't even have a plausible path to be the wide receiver one on their own team in the next year.
And I also considered Austin Eckler here. He actually has a higher lifetime value rating on Player Profiler. However, I believe that because you drafted Bijan and you're going young, I have identified you in the draft room as a youth chaser, and I believe that I can get Austin Eckler on the way back.
And for FFPC listeners, this is, Matt referenced Austin Eckler. Matt took Steffon Diggs. I took Tyreek Hill. Like, right around pick 18, 19, 20, that's Travis Kelce time. Even though it's a startup, even though he's old, this is the time in the draft for Kelce. Let me ask you guys this, though.
What about Mark Andrews? What about Mark
Can you
Andrews,
explain that, though? Explain why the tight ends are in play in FFPC, guys.
So FFPC is 1.5 points per reception for a tight end. So it's a tight end premium. So Travis Kelce could potentially he probably won't, but he has the potential to outscore a Jefferson or a Chase if it all bounces right. And I think that, Matt, for me, Kelce just represents a higher ceiling than Mandrews. I think that there is going to be a potential where the offense targets the wide receivers more. They've added Zay Flowers, who we like a lot. We have a new offensive coordinator there in Todd Monken. I mean, Mark Andrews I like a lot. I mean, for FFPC, Mark Andrews is going to go, in that next range. Like, I think that the Pitts, Mandrews, and Hawkinsons all go somewhere between now and the end of round 3. They're all gone in a startup. So for me, it's just Kelce has that truly, truly elite ceiling this year that I don't think Mark Andrews has. And I think we're tethered to Patrick Mahomes. And that's his wide receiver, is essentially his wide receiver one in that offense.
Andrews is 6 years younger, and in win now mode, I agree. And I'm looking at win now mode right now on our rankings. Both Andrews and Kelce are top 12 picks in win now mode in tight end premium. And in the FFPC also, you're going up against majority win now. Because you cut down your roster to 16 in the offseason, more people are in win now mode. It doesn't allow you the luxury of just loading up 30 players deep with youth and trying to hit. So because of that, young players are at a discount and veterans are at a premium in the FFPC. And then when you add the tight end premium to the veteran premium, guess what happens to Travis Kelce? Right? That's what happens. So the FFPC specifically, I would go Kelce. Otherwise, I'm going Andrews.
I think that's a good framework for it. If it's just standard PPR, which we talked about this draft is, that youth means a little bit more, because Travis Kelce last year in 0.5 in 1.5, he actually beat Justin Jefferson head to head in points. So, and that'll be in the, I happen to cover Travis Kelce for the Player Profiler draft kit, available next week.
You made an incredible video, Alan. We've shouted you out here, but you made an incredible Bijan Robinson and Travis Kelce video. I can't wait for everybody to see those. Matt Kelly with a very, very, very good Jamar Chase video as well. Both of you guys crushed it.
Nice. All right, guys. Last pick of the first round. I'm going to crowdsource this one to you guys a little bit here. In my shoes, are we taking the last of the elite quarterbacks, or are you punting that to the third round, knowing I'm going to be picking twice? So I get 2 picks here because we're going to, we're coming towards the end. We'll just do this 2 rounds. Maybe we'll pick it up with the third round another time because I want to also just kind of recap our picks.
No, we'll do a rapid fire third round.
Rapid fire third round is fine. So right here, knowing you have 2 picks. This, if you don't get one, if you don't take the one of the quarterbacks that you want right here, wherever your QB3 is, now you're looking at like round 7 or 8 for quarterback, maybe even 9. Do we agree on that? So it comes down to how you want to build it.
Well, I think Joe, like there's you're
not going to get them
round 9,
because they're all going to go right here. They're all going to go, and before the guy who picked at 1 and is picking on the 3-4 turn on the 2-3 turn picks again. the quarterbacks, maybe QB6 will be there, but once you get into QB7, you really want to spend that pick. I mean, I don't know. So I think this is picking on the end. You sometimes have to be proactive or reach, however you want to call it. So that's me. I don't want to be chasing runs. I want to lead runs. So that's why I think Josh Allen is the right pick right here, or whoever your QB3 is. So I'm going to take Josh Allen here.
I already wrote in Josh Allen.
There it is.
It's already written in.
It is written. But just as an overall philosophy, Podfather, what do you think here? If you were picking right here, and let's just say, okay, I know you don't like Bijan, so let's say you had your 1-1, which is Chase right here. Now you're coming back on the turn. Would one of those picks be QB3 for you?
Yeah, now is the time. I'm trying to get Jalen Hurts here. Can you get Jalen Hurts here in a lot of leagues, Theo?
No.
Or he's gone. Really. He's gone.
No. Yeah. These guys go in the first round in some startups. I'm just letting you know.
God.
So Matt, I would say for the most part, if you're drafting in like an FFPC, you might be able to get Jalen Hurts here. It depends on the league though, Alan, I'll say, because when Mahomes goes off the board, it usually is like an alert to people who say, I want to get one of the big three. So the Mahomes drafter usually dictates, and that's also in redraft, you see that as well. In redraft, when Mahomes is taken, it usually cues the quarterback run for the big three.
Yeah, I think in a lot of leagues, Kenneth Walker is still available here.
Yeah.
So my team most likely would be something like Jamar Chase, Kenneth Walker,
and a QB.
And then one of the veteran receivers like Steffon Diggs or Tyreek Hill if I want to go win now, or a QB. Ideally, it's even possible you could get Joe Burrow here. It's not crazy to take Joe Burrow here and stack Chase with Burrow with Kenneth Walker at running back. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to build your team. And this is why Dynasty is better than Redraft, in my opinion. I love Redraft. I love it. It has its place. I do a bunch of leagues. But there's really, you can't tell anyone they're wrong for doing this. I mean, there's so many, guys that are worse than other guys get drafted ahead of them because of their age. It's so crazy. I mean, I know we've all been playing Dynasty for decades already, but it still it always blows my mind. All right, I'm going to take Josh Allen with the pick right here. And on the flip, on the return, I was hoping it was going to be Steffon Diggs for obvious reasons, but I'm going to round out the old guy stuff. I'm going to take Cooper Kupp. Yeah,
I had it written down. Oh my God, I know you better than you know yourself.
I mean, look, I balanced that age.
So
that
clear. And then guess what? I get Austin Eckler with team 2. Gets Austin Eckler. Oh my God. So now the Austin Eckler team 2 in win now mode is Chase, Diggs, Eckler. Oh, the gambit paid off, folks.
Well, guys, for this particular team, I have Justin Jefferson and I have Tyreek Hill. So I'm going to win the league right now. I'm going to go old with Tyreek Hill and follow up with Travis Kelce and have tight end 1 overall and just lap the league in year 1 and cash it. And I'll worry about it later.
Well,
guys.
team 2 is going to give you a run.
Yeah, and similar to so I'm up, right? No, I'm not
rapid fire. This is rapid fire, folks.
Yeah, and I think similar to the Pat Mahomes. Similar to...
You get how it's not rapid fire because the rapid fire sound effect's too long?
You never explain the joke, Matt Kelly. Never explain the joke.
You see, the thing is, it can't be rapid fire if the rapid fire sound effect's 3 minutes.
Don't explain it, Matt. Don't explain
Never
it.
Explain the joke.
Classic.
So similar to when the Patrick Mahomes timer goes off, that's a signal to grab the quarterbacks. Same thing for Travis Kelce. Mark Andrews is the pick right here.
You're Mark Andrews? All right.
Yes.
This is
Who did Podfather take at 26, by the way?
Austin Eckler.
Okay.
So this is my AJ Brown team, I believe. I am
skipped you.
going to.
Who'd you pick at 27?
I'm up, guys. This is my team.
Oh, sorry,
I'm
Matt.
5.
Sorry, Matt.
Oh,
Go
that's my fault. That's my fault
Hold
because you guys got to know. Cool guy's got Lamb and Walker. This is a good like potential productive struggle, right? Like we could go Lamb Walker could be a potential productive struggle because we know these guys will be great next year too. But also a potential win now. A lot of flexibility with this particular team. We have the running back set. Tight ends are starting to go off the board. I think I just got to go value here. There's one player that hasn't been drafted that is an incredible value, and I have a receiver, and this is not necessarily always recommended, but I think because the value is so strong that I'm going to do it. I'm going to go running back again. I'm going to double tap running back here. I'm going Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne fell. He fell too far. I have to stop the bleeding on Travis Etienne.
No, I like that right there. I'm going to go. This is my AJ Brown team, and I believe it's AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith. I am going to go with another wide receiver I really believe in Dynasty.
Who has Watkins?
No, I'm going to go with Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, guys.
Ooh.
I'm going a little JSN.
Yep. Rapid fire. I'm up. I think Christian Watson. It's easy. I just don't understand. Well, I understand, but I don't agree that he's not even considered in the same tier as Garrett Wilson and Olave. I understand why not, but he produced last year also. Last 2 months of the season, wide receiver 9. I would take Christian Watson right here very happily.
So, by the way, Theo, just to correct you, that last team you just drafted, Team 6, that's A.J. Brown, T. Higgins.
Okay, but similar.
That's A.J. Brown, T.
Higgins,
here. Just for the folks at home. That's A.J. Brown, T. Higgins. Now, I'm a nerd here. I got Breece Hall. This is the team that was totally screwed, and we're now in a full sort of rebuild, productive struggle, youth-chasing mode with this one. So it's fun just to put the youth-chasing hat on. And I'm gonna scroll down, and I got the perfect guy. Guess who I'm going here? This is so perfect because this team could turn it around. They could potentially turn it around. I'm going to go Kyle Pitts.
That's a great value right there with Pitts.
I'm going to go Kyle Pitts, and I'm just going to. This is just. Hey, I'm playing for. I know I'm playing for 2024. That's it. We know it.
London and Pitts on the same team. Any concerns there, being that you dumped lava all over the Falcons situation?
Yeah, this team's terrible, and it's probably really bad, and I'll never make any money on it.
Got a 21-year-old and a 22-year-old though, Matt. Nothing wrong with that. Flash the board one more time if you don't mind.
Also, any consideration that Hawkinson is a better dynasty asset than Pitts? I would take Pitts too there as well, but I've seen some Hawkinson people, and I'm listening because there's something to it.
I mean, I love Hawkinson, but I mean, Pitts is still got some unknown upside there. He's younger considerably, and Hawkinson, like we all love Hawkinson, but it's not like Hawkinson's given us a tight end 1 type performance. Like it's been smash games, it's been some solid seasons. We'd like him to take a step forward this year. I know him versus Andrews is a big redraft discussion right now for tight end 2, but I'm still probably going to lean Kyle Pitts if I had the chance for a straight up trade in FFPC based on the longevity and the talent and the draft. But Hawkinson's a fine pick as well. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow with this pick. Joe Burrow to be combined with my Garrett Wilson, DeVonta Smith build.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
All right, so am I back on the clock here, guys? This is I lost track a little bit as we were moving along.
Yes. You're back OTC.
Yeah, and not a premium format, so I'm not going to take a tight end here, but I think that I'm seeing all these quarterbacks flying off the board, and though I think that Fields is the better redraft pick, I think Herbert, if I'm saying, hey, I wanted roster 1 quarterback, that you see that theme over and over again throughout this draft, Herbert allows me to have 1 quarterback on my roster. There's only a couple more guys that could do that, and if I'm looking at my dynasty team 3 years from now, I'm very confident he's going to be on it. We could see some issues if Justin Fields doesn't have a good season this year.
Your team has Jonathan Taylor and Patrick Mahomes. What are you doing?
Oh, okay, I didn't know. Okay, I lost track. So if this was that,
what the hell are you doing? This is why you don't take Patrick Mahomes. You just proved to yourself this was the ultimate. You just posterized Alan Seslowsky. You dunked on yourself. All the reasons why we said don't take Patrick Mahomes. It's a total mistake. You
I didn't see
get
a
quality
team's
quarterback a round later. And there'll be no ramifications for it. And you said, no, I got to have Patrick Mahomes. I can't have DeVonta Smith or Christian McCaffrey. No, Kenneth Walker for me. And then you turn around and you try to draft a second quarterback because the quarterbacks at the spot are typically so juicy. Shame on you.
It's a dynasty startup life lesson.
Dunked on
Alan.
himself.
It's a life lesson, Alan.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's a fair statement, but I still think there's the longevity argument for Patrick Mahomes. But again, I caveated saying this is not for everybody. So this team right here has Mahomes, and who was the other player?
Jonathan Taylor. You need a receiver.
Yeah, need a receiver right here. Obviously, the options are.
You were on the right track with Justin Fields.
Right. Oh, okay. Were you talking about as far as taking him?
DJ Moore.
Yeah, I'm not. I know that Player Profiler is high on DJ Moore.
Who's not high on DJ Moore? DJ Moore's in his prime. He's got 3 incredible years left, right around the age apex.
Yeah. I'm
He's
on
a first-round pick. He checks all the boxes. Incredible athlete. He's been productive every year. Super consistent. Why are we the only ones so bullish on DJ Moore? It's so weird.
I would take Davante Adams here, being the last of the older guys. Now, obviously, there's some
Go ahead.
concern.
Take Davante Adams. There you go.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
fine.
taking Davante Adams because of the proven track record.
Go ahead.
There it is, Davante Adams.
It's rapid fire, and that leads me right into DJ Moore. DJ Moore, easy. Yep. So this is a great. Wait, this is the wrong. This is. Oh wait. No, it's not. It's not him. This isn't consensus. This is not consensus. DJ Moore goes in the 4th round. I bet you can get him in the 5th round sometimes because people don't know what they're doing. So DJ Moore and DK Metcalf are 2 classic Player Profiler plays that are pre-age apex, check all the boxes, been incredibly consistent, healthy. They're everything you want in Dynasty, but Dynasty gamers are addicted to taking chances when they don't have to, and dismissing players right when they're about to have a career year, right when the environment optimizes for them, whether it be the Seattle offense, whether it be DJ Moore finally getting a quarterback, whatever. At that very moment, it seems that fantasy gamers dismiss these players that Player Profiler remembers.
And
so
Matt, it's
now
also
I have Gibbs, which that wasn't even me that made that pick. That should have been Olave, because remember, the consensus guy drafted Gibbs. And then I threw the glasses away and went Metcalf Moore. Those are Player Profiler picks through and through to the core.
And I will close it out. I have a Chris Olave Saquon Barkley team, and I'm gonna challenge the teams 1, 2, and 3, which are win now, looking great. And I'm gonna add Tony Pollard here, and I'm gonna have potential firepower running back to go with Chris Olave. This team has wheels. This team has a lot of juice.
Wait. So you went Pollard over Jacobs?
I went Pollard over Jacobs. Yes, I did. I think that Jacobs, I'm concerned about the volume we saw last year. I think that he could wear down this year big time. And I think Pollard, on the other hand, Matt, we like to talk about Austin Eckler, how Austin Eckler has, for his age, a very low total number of carries. I think Tony Pollard, you can make an argument that the volume has not caught up with him yet. And also, I think that his best receiving season as a pro is going to happen this year as the offense changes a bit to kind of, really, really feature and utilize Pollard's talents. Right behind CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard. I think they're both great picks in redraft, and I think Pollard's a great, great value here.
Well, I will go to war for our rankings, as you know. You and Dario do a great job, but you guys got to go back into the lab and reassess all your assumptions for the projections for the next 3 years for Jacobs and Pollard.
Well, this is my philosophy is I don't think that my personal preference needs to always win, because I think that this is the thing though.
if you're saying this and I prefer Pollard, you and I may need to go have a conversation with Dario about this.
I think we should have a conversation with him.
We
Josh
might have
Jacobs
the full
here-
transparency to everybody. You know, these lifetime value ratings are based on a 3-year projection, which is based on the player's past history and their future projections. And those future projections are created by Billy and Dario using a systematic process. So it's not like we can just, wave a magic wand, but we need to go do an investigation. We need to go have an investigation and figure out how, what, where, why Jacobs is ranked ahead of Pollard. And I get it. It's career production at a similar age is what's going on. I already know what's happening. I know why the computer wants it this way. But we may have to, insist on a review of these 3-year projections, knowing that Josh Jacobs is about to be a free agent and that Pollard's a lot more likely to be extended by Dallas than Pollard is by Las Vegas. This may not be factored in fully. We will do an investigation. Keep checking the Dynasty rankings to see what changes may come. Hey, you like that video? Be sure to subscribe and activate those alerts so you get notified as soon as new videos drop. And be sure to check out PlayerProfiler.com. We have all the tools for you to dominate every type of fantasy league. We have a draft kit, Dynasty Deluxe, data analysis, DFS Dominator, and don't forget the player rankings to rule them all.